I talk about my time on the Sunset Strip, usually with the fondness. I want people to know how special it was and how lucky I was to have been there in 1986 and 87 and 88 and eventually 89 when I got my first record deal. All kinds of fun, man. Good times on the Strip, life experience. But Hollywood also has this dark side, still does. People burning the candle at both ends, hard drugs ruining the careers, DUIs, women prostituting themselves, the clutching and the clawing up that bloody ladder to get the fame, stepping over your buddies sometimes. I mean, you want your friends to succeed because they're your friends, you just don't want them to be more successful than you are. If your girlfriend was a stripper in the 80s, you had a little bit of money to live on, but you also had to sit there every night and life coach her through the twisted psychology of stripping and keep her from becoming a man-hater. Girls, that job will turn your pretty little heart to stone. There were the guys that lived off women, professional mooches. You know, they would even boast about it. Dude, check out my new Pro Tools rig, or dude, check out my new guitar. See, me and my girl have this cool arrangement. You know, she lets me do my music, and as soon as I get signed, I'm gonna shower her with diamonds. Good arrangement for him, obviously, while she has to humiliate herself every night, taking off her clothes for the fat, disgusting men. He gets to sit down and write the new Appetite for Destruction record. Then, of course, on the very, very off chance this guy really does get a record deal, he will immediately drop that girl like a hot potato. How's that for karma? Thanks for the memories and all that. Gotta go on tour now. Gotta find a hot new supermodel that digs guitar players. Girls supporting guys back in the day. It was commonplace. It was normal. You hear stories of Guns N' Roses and Poison having girls who fed them and clothed them, helped them along the way until they were eventually signed. What happened to these girls? Didn't they make a behind the music special about them? I mean, what happened to that girl Michelle from the song My Michelle? You know, I remember seeing her at clubs in Hollywood, you know, back in the early 90s, off in the corner by herself, alone, drink in one hand, cigarette in the other. If you introduced yourself to her, she would say, "Oh, hi, I'm Michelle from the GNR song My Michelle." It was the first thing that came out of her mouth. I always felt sorry for her, you know, because she looked so fragile and so vulnerable. Her claim to fame didn't really mean anything anymore. Guns N' Roses, at that time, they were on a rocket ship to the stars. They were gone. And here she was, on her bar stool, silently contemplating her future. This was 1990. Where is she now? Who knows? Girls would help you out, sometimes with no strings, sometimes with implied strings. You know, they dug your band, they dug your music, and they would see that you were broke. They'd help you get your guitar out of hock, or maybe they'd get you some new clothes, or maybe just a dinner if you were starving, which you always were. Some girl would share her cocaine with you, and you would be up all night with her talking about what? Dreams? The future? There was no future. I was living in a pipe dream, man, a fantasy. The reality was I didn't have shit. The record companies hated me. They passed on my music a dozen times. It was totally bleak out there. No hope. A couple of lines of cocaine helped kill the pain for a little while and made you forget what the cold light of morning would soon bring. Still broke, still not signed, still nowhere close to where you dreamed of in your wildest dreams. These moments lost in time, like tears in rain. Some stripper would take a liking to you and want to lavish gifts on you. You want that guitar? I can buy it for you. It seemed magical. There's that cherry red Les Paul. All you gotta do is reach out and take it, man. Why didn't you? Why didn't you? Did you know it was the wrong move? Then you'd have to live with this girl. Maybe you'd even screw up and have a kid with this girl. So many times and days and nights, and the girls came and went, and maybe at the time you could barely make out right from wrong, but in reality, you know, I think it was the rock gods out there looking out for you. They saw, they watched over you, and they didn't judge. They watched your amateur fumblings on the Strip, and they guided you along without you even knowing. Don't go home with that one. Heard a little whisper in your ear, and you didn't. It turned out she was a heroin addict, a full-on addict. You actually saw her on an episode of the old Geraldo Rivera show a year later on TV. You're just watching her. Hey, that's her. You almost went home with her, and there she was on Geraldo, spouting off about her heroin addiction and her f***ed up life, turning tricks in Hollywood. It was like having a premonition about not getting into a car after a party, and then you hear that car later on got into a head-on collision, and no one survived. Another girl, she came to your house one night, and you saw she was a little high. Another girl on heroin. She liked you, and you liked her, and she came over to your house to hang out, but she's ruining it. In her heroin-addled state, she starts babbling about heroin, about how amazing heroin was, about how her heroin addict ex-boyfriend musician used to stand her up against the wall at band rehearsals, used to stand her up against the wall to keep her from falling down. And you're just looking at her. She's really pretty, but now you're just seeing the other girl, the one who keeps nodding out while she's talking to you. Two people, one normal and one f***ed up. She doesn't even know where she is now. And you know, if you were a little less than an honorable person, you could take advantage. Many probably have. It's not like she would even remember, but you don't. You're repelled. You're disgusted. You make excuses and say you're tired, and you kind of hustle her out the door. Dodged another bullet, Jizzo. May the rock gods intervene. You go to some house party in Hollywood one night, excuse yourself to go to the bathroom, and there's some guy passed out in the bathroom. His face is gray. It's totally gray, and he's not moving. He's just laying there. So you don't say anything. You just kind of walk back to your friends at the party and go, I think there's someone dying in your bathroom. The girl whose party it was jumps up, runs to the bathroom. You hear her slapping the guy's face. Wake up, wake up. He's an up-and-comer on the scene, plays a mean guitar, but he's toast already. He's toast. He's destined for oblivion. Booked himself a first-class ticket on that train to nowhere. Two drunk guys passed out at the pool. One of them is you. You recognize the guy next to you. He's a local singer like you. So you're both laying there, drunk. And somehow you both ended up passed out on lounge chairs at this pool, at this expensive house up in the hills. No idea how you got there. You're looking up at the stars and the sky. How did I get so drunk? Why am I here? 5 minutes of cold, hard self-analysis. Then it's back to passed out again. You know what? You'll feel better in the morning. Things will somehow work themselves out. Tomorrow you'll be back at it, trying to get signed. You just keep on going. A girl you know is taking the slippery slope from aspiring actress to prostitute. All those auditions for TV shows and movies don't pan out. Eventually, this leads to modeling, and then semi-nude modeling, and then all-nude modeling, and quickly it turns into soft porn, to real porn, and now hardcore porn. She's in movies now, of a sort. Here's a scene where she's getting urinated on. Not exactly up to Meryl Streep standards, but with the, hey, girl's gotta pay the rent. Finally, she ends up as a prostitute, a hooker, a real-life hooker. Oh, escort, private dancer, a rose by any other name. You never thought you'd end up here, but here you are. Hollywood doesn't care about your talent or your feelings. It just uses you up and spits you out. And along the way come the fake boobs and the nose job and the cheeks and the chin and those bulbous, oversized, creepy-ass lips that somehow keep getting bigger like tractor tires. Now you're in what they call the oldest profession, and you keep telling yourself that it's only a temporary thing. Hollywood is full of fallen women. Ex-girlfriends of rockers that got famous, and the multitude of the ones that never got famous. The famous have moved on, and the not-so-famous have been subsequently scraped off the woman's shoes, kicking and screaming like a barnacle, taking their free guitars and their expensive leather pants and their Pro Tools rigs with them. No refunds. So many girls, casualties of war. And it does make me think, where are they now? Do they also look back with fondness on the 80s like I do? Or is it forever tinged with bitterness? Why didn't I get the mansion? Why didn't I get the Lexus? The Sunset Strip was magical, and it was awesome, but it was also a dark place of all-nighters and drugs and compromising. It was trying to forget who or what you did the night before. I see people's comments in the comments section about Hollywood, about being on the Strip. Some of you were there, and most of your comments are pretty positive. I didn't make it, but I had a good time trying. Well, you know what? You should congratulate yourself. No matter where you ended up, you survived when so many didn't. A lot of my old bandmates are dead. Dead from old age, dead from cancer. A few of them OD'd. Anonymously, OD'd in some Skid Row hotel. They became John Does, toe-tagged in some Hollywood morgue until someone identified them. Or they just faded away into some anonymous trailer park life because, they're so bitter they didn't get the coveted Wonka golden ticket. So a moment in time it was special and brief, and some made it out, and a lot of us didn't. No feelings left, remorseless, blaming the world and not themselves for all their slippery steps down the ladder to darkness. It all comes due one day, the bill. As Filthy McNasty once said to me, "Someday you must pay the piper, Jizzo." He's dead too. Look him up. He was a Hollywood fixture, but like all Hollywood fixtures, he's faded into the past, like Gazzari's, like FM Station, like Bam Magazine, like all the girls who dressed up in their short skirts and makeup for a night out on the town, another night hanging out on the Sunset Strip. It's your old pal Jizzo, rockin' and rollin'. We'll see you next time.